allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, Des Moines County Board of Supervisors, Tuesday, June 2nd. Let me start by saying anybody that would like to make a comment during the meeting or during public comment may email the Board of Supervisors at board@dmcounty.com. That's BOARD@dmcounty.com, or call 319-753-8203 extension 4. That's 319-753-8203 extension 4. Are there any changes to the tentative agenda?
I have none.
Meet with department heads and elected officials. Terry Johnson, Des Moines County Auditor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just very busy today. Everything, the polls are open, and the absentee board is here to start counting the ballots. I was going to run off a report to let you know the latest and greatest numbers for absentee. I think the last time I checked, we were, about 4,400 absentees
That you've received?
That have been returned. So
What's the record number of voters in a primary?
that was back in 1996. I believe it was about 6,500, maybe something like this. So this will probably, depending on how many turn out at the polls, we're probably looking since '96, probably the second or third highest primary that we've had. So hopefully we have a good turnout. And from what I've seen out at SCC, there's quite a few people coming in, and I was up at Mediapolis this morning helping them open, and they had 4 or 5 come in right away at 7 o'clock. So.
And the polls close at 9.
Yeah, polls close at 9, and if you have an absentee ballot that you do want to return, that you have voted and you want to return it, that has to be returned down here at the courthouse. You can't take it to the precincts and drop them off. It has to be brought to the courthouse, and we have a drop box outside that they can put that ballot in, or they can call us and let us know, and we'll come down and pick it up from them to curbside. But yeah, they just have to drop off their already voted ballot. There's no voting going on here today.
Okay, and we'll check the drop boxes last time at 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terry, did you get that email I forwarded to you then last night?
Yes, that lady had already been taken care of.
Good, because I didn't catch that till.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got my number.
Well,
They got ours too,
I think it's a rollover issue.
They got ours too.
Yours
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
Okay.
Because it's a general email, and maybe somehow it got switched that you guys have been added to the general email, because you should have gotten those, because Angie in the office and myself get those. So.
I didn't check my email until about 4 o'clock.
An issue with the phones or whatever, we'll have to check on that.
Good.
Got the head of IT right here, so we can ask him who he's blaming.
He doesn't do anything with the phones. He'll say.
It's obvious that somebody else is handling that, Colin.
That's right, yeah. Proper
Your stuff seems to be working fine. Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
Brian Carter, Secondary Roads.
Good morning. Got an agenda item other than that, starting to set beams on the bridges on Mediapolis Road. So I believe they're gonna set the beams on the west bridge today. And then if their schedule holds, the east bridge tomorrow. So, that'll be nice to see that progress. Gear Avenue is making progress. They hope to be ready to pour by, Monday is what they're aiming for. So, it should be the second to last pour, other than maybe a little bit of handwork and tying work and some stuff like that. But there's still stuff going on, and they're working out there, and they're still working on shoulders on Iowa City Road. So a lot of stuff still going on. Our guys are doing some ditching and doing a culvert down the Skunk River. We have that closed, so we did a press release on that. Yeah, so a lot of stuff going on.
Thank you. Chris, I'm going to wait till we get to the COVID-19 for Rodney Bleasner, maintenance.
Morning.
see you've been preparing the courthouse to be open. I see you've got things socially distanced. That's good. That's good. Thank you. Colin Gerst, IT.
Just keep busy like always. Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. We got out there.
Chris Lee, Conservation.
Chris Lee, Conservation.
Good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Morning. We can.
Okay. Wow, what a busy couple weekends we've had. I think this past weekend we actually had more campers than we did over Memorial Day weekend. We filled up the 4th pumping station. We filled up Welter Recreation Area this last weekend, which did not fill up the weekend before. We even filled up our tent sites. I'm sure the fantastic weather was a lot to blame for that, but one heck of a weekend. Our park ranger said you could have walked across the lake bouncing from kayak to kayak over the weekend. They said at one point, just from the kayak launch area down below the campground, they counted 75 that they could see from that one spot.
Chris, is that bird or is that noise coming from your phone? Did you hear that?
That sounds like he's got a bird in the back.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. He's not bothered.
Sure. Yeah, living out in the country, it's birds are quite chatty out here. And so yeah, it's just a crazy weekend at all of our parks, but for the most part, everybody behaved themselves. And we will plan to open our facilities, which will include the shower house, the cabin at Big Hollow, and the nature center, whenever you guys decide to open up county facilities, including the courthouse. And so we've been kind of prepping for that, thinking that, that may still be that June 8th that you talked about. I know that's on the agenda to talk about here in a bit. Other than that, we have our monthly board meeting tomorrow. We'll be having that at Stars Cave Nature Center instead of our main office like we normally do. There's a lot more room at the Nature Center there, so we can stay distanced and keep spread apart for that. So that's about it, I think, for today.
Thank you, Chris.
Those birds need to wait until the public hearing portion.
Right? Yeah, when they're called on.
Yeah.
I thought it was Bob's hearing aid when I heard it.
Mike Johnston, Des Moines County Sheriff.
Morning, Tom. I'll my time for Brian.
No, we've already.
No, I have nothing to add this time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Ken Hyman, Community Services.
Ken Heinman, Community Services.
Good morning.
Morning.
I got an email recently, yesterday, that Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Services Office and Iowa Work are going to be moving to Westland Mall, the former Yonkers home store. So that's some new news. Also, a week from tomorrow, we'll be having our regional meetings, and I know in the governing board we'll be bringing more contracts for renewals, and we're working on revising the CO management plan and adding those children's services in. So we'll be talking about that at the governing board, I'm sure, on June 10th. Nothing else to report at this time.
Thank you, Ken.
Ken,
Yeah.
is there any funding yet for them children's services to come through yet or not?
Nothing that I've heard of yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Jared Lassiter, Land Use.
Jared Lass, Land Use.
Good morning. Land use have had a few new inquiries this week, nothing particularly major. We do have a subdivision that I alluded to last week that was in the 2-mile review area of the city of Burlington, and I believe that was addressed at their meeting last night. Assuming that got approved, could have that ready for you next week. We do have a final plat that was just submitted for a subdivision that we've had a preliminary plat approved for last fall. That's the Wildlife Lakes edition. So that one is a full subdivision, so that will need to go to the zoning commission before we bring that to you, and it's also in the West Burlington review area, so that may be a little ways off still, but we're the process has begun with the submission of that plat. We need to discuss this as a staff, but I did just receive an email that indicates that that bill we had addressed recently in the state legislature relating to zoning boards. Unfortunately, that was signed in its original form. So with an upcoming zoning commission meeting, we're going to have to figure out how best to handle that and how that impacts the current membership on the board and how quickly that would need to be adjusted based on those new requirements. So that was unfortunate timing there, but we're going to have to figure out the best protocol for handling that. So still up in the air.
Thank you, Jared.
Janelle Nelly Longquist, Des Moines County Treasurer.
Janelle Nelly Longquist, Des Moines County Treasurer.
Good morning. We just continue to keep busy with mail and the Dropbox and online vehicle registrations, paying tax payments. But I would like to mention that after our board meeting last Tuesday, of course, Governor Reynolds held a press conference and extended her original proclamation to June 25th, which, as I've mentioned before, many of those things in that proclamation affected our office. And that would also affect the March installment of property tax payments. So again, that's been moved to June 25th. That installment can be paid again without interest up until that date. And that also takes care of vehicle registrations. They do not expire, and 30 days to transfer a vehicle. That's part of that proclamation as well. So that's all I have to report at this time.
Janelle?
Yes.
How much of an impact would you estimate that's had on our property tax receipts, or do you have a percentage that we've received or that would be abnormal?
Well, I mean, look, it's had a little bit of an impact. And the other thing that has an impact is with this proclamation, she's suspended the tax sale code. So, where on the third Monday in June, we're able to have a tax sale to offer any taxes that haven't been paid. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. If that's something that she'll have us do at a later date, or if she'll postpone it, I'm just not certain. So it's had a little bit of an impact, I would say.
Okay. And my apologies for asking you questions about a number that nobody's ever asked you to keep. So I know I've been on that other side of those questions, so I apologize for that.
No problem.
Okay. Thanks, Janelle.
You're welcome.
Lisa Schaefer, Des Moines County Attorney.
Lisa Schaefer, Des Moines County Attorney.
Good morning, everyone. Not a whole lot new to report. We still do not have protocols from the Supreme Court about how we will be handling court. So right now, we do not anticipate any court proceedings taking place in the courtrooms, at least for the next couple of weeks. We're hoping that we'll get them sometime this week. I think one of the bigger issues is for courtrooms, such as our two associate courtrooms that are fairly small. How do we handle the social distancing portion of it? I know there's questions about making masks mandatory, and obviously that makes it difficult to make good records for court reporters who have to hear everything that's being said, and they often rely on being able to watch that person speak as well. So we're not in receipt of those yet, so we do not anticipate, at least before June 15th, starting any in-person court proceedings. We're still doing everything via GoToMeeting or phone conference that we can get accomplished, and if we can't do them through those two venues, then we continue them off. Since jury trials are not going to begin to take place until the middle of September, I think the judges have realized that we have a little bit of time with that. That's where we're at right now.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Krista, I'm going to let you, regular, and you can start in on their COVID-19, if you would. Krista Pogomiller, Public Health.
Good morning. We had currently 66 positive COVID cases in Des Moines County. We continue to do our investigations. There was new guidance put out about a week ago regarding our investigations and our contact tracing. So now, previously, if someone tested positive for COVID, we would do the contact tracing, people that they came in contact with within 6 feet for 15 minutes, starting the day that they tested positive, and then they moved to two days before, and last week it was moved to 10 days before. So if someone tested positive, we're doing contact tracing 10 days before and 10 days after. So we're keeping very busy with that. We are getting people off as far as off of isolation, so that's a good thing. Really want to encourage people. I know we've said it 100 times, and just keep repeating that. But with everybody getting out in the community, we're seeing a lot more people out and about. Remember, do your hand washing. Stay home when you're sick. Maintaining that 6-foot distance. And CDC does recommend wearing face masks when you're out in public. So definitely encouraging people to do that as well. As far as public health, we have a couple of open positions that we're looking at filling. We're advertising for a nurse and doing some interviewing, as well as we have a personnel action form on the agenda today for a secretary position. So we'll be filling that as well. Gina Harden today is actually our Bureau of Emergency and Trauma Services meeting as well. So Gina's on that call. So I'm covering both for the COVID as well as the EOC.
Okay. I see by the state website, we've got the 66 positive cases, but we've also got 50 of those are recovered.
Yes.
So
we do.
That's good. Thank you, Krista. And if I don't think we missed anybody in this on that COVID-19. Tell me if I'm wrong. Dwight, as we've got down to once a week meetings now, and there's still hasn't created any sort of an overwhelming problem for the hospital. I believe I think you said it. They've never had more than 25% of those COVID beds in use at one time, and so that's one of the concerns we had when this started. So.
Yeah. The goal behind this was to flatten the curve, and we've definitely done that in our community. Currently they have 2 people in the hospital that are hospitalized positive for COVID. They have 27 beds, I believe, if my memory serves me right, something like that. And so they have plenty of open spaces for that. And I know that they're working with long-term care and really working well with everyone's working well as far as with the community partners, working hard to making sure that Gina's working with them to make sure they have PPE as needed, ordering from the strategic national stockpile as we need to, and making those deliveries. So that's really helped. We see probably 1 to 2 positive cases a day, but we've not really seen a huge spike. It's kind of in that level continuous. So there's it hasn't been at that big of a strain at this point onto the healthcare system. So we definitely have flattened that curve.
Okay. And I think the hospital's starting to open up and perform some diagnostic procedures and some other. Good.
They had that COVID respiratory unit that they had. It used to be family practice, or that was family practice, and they've moved that now, and they are starting to see patients again. So, and they've also moved that they do the Test Iowa. That's at Southeastern Community College. So anyone that wants to be tested, all they need to do is go on and do the Test Iowa form, and as long as they meet the criteria, they're scheduling that. And I know that it's taken 1 or 2 days, but then they're able to get into to do the testing as well.
That'll probably boost our number of cases a little bit.
It will, because we do see a good number of asymptomatic people have no symptoms at all that are coming back positive. And I think the important part about that is we want to make sure that those people know they have the COVID, even though they don't have symptoms, because they're going to spread that. So that's a good thing. So we're definitely encouraging people to do that testing. And they're even part of that new testing framework is anyone who's come in contact with someone who's positive is now they're able to get a test. Where before we asked them to self-isolate, now the testing is available and they're able to get the testing. So if they came in contact with someone positive we make that recommendation, we reach out to them and then they can contact their healthcare provider and get tested.
How long will they be spreading that?
So as far as what the recommendation is, 10 days from the onset of symptoms, that they're isolated, and then it's an additional 72 hours. So it's 10 days and 72 hours from symptoms.
And if you're asymptomatic, is it 10 days from the date of test?
If you're asymptomatic, it's 10 days from the onset, from the test, yes.
Can a person carry that, like, meningitis, a person could carry that meningitis for a year or 2 years, from what I understand. Can this COVID, will it do that same thing if a person's gotta be a carrier for that long?
Well, this is so new. I think there's still more information. It's a very fluid situation. New things continue to come out. We find out that, that the virus is in the RNA, and by the PCR, people will test positive longer than past the 10 days, but what CDC says is they're no longer infectious. So I think as that continues to evolve, I think we'll see new things. And I've not heard as far as the time frame, but I do know that there's some people that will continue to test positive. They'll be negative and then test positive again, but yet they're not infectious at that point in time by the CDC and Fire Department of Public Health. They're out of isolation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Krista. Correspondence.
I have none.
I have none. We have accounts payable claims in the amount of $1,100,762.26.
Move to approve. Second?
Terry?
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. We have payroll claims reimbursements in the amount of $975.37 and non-cash taxable reimbursements in the amount of $82.84.
Move to approve. Second?
Terry?
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. And we have approval of the contracts for the Des Moines County Highway 99 bridge.
So we've been talking about this project for a long, long time.
I was a young man when we started talking about it. Well, maybe not a young man.
Boy, that's obviously that alone, but anyway, so these are the contracts. Iowa Bridge and Culvert was the low bidder, and we had 4 bidders, good competition. They're the low bidder at $2,395,936.85. We're pleased with the number. We've worked with the contractor before, so we're comfortable with that. And I'd recommend approval of the contract. And I'm gonna give a quick reminder of how this is all. We're handling this like we do any other project paperwork, but this is in fact our first bond project as far as a construction project. Maybe our last one, who knows? But it's something that we're doing, and so the board took this on years ago, and this size of a project shuts down a budget like ours pretty quickly as far as that goes. So it's a good thing. There's 2 options. I haven't talked to the contractor yet. They could close it down in November, and it could be closed the entire winter while they're working. I expect that to be the case. They could wait till April, however, or they could close somewhere in between and start work, to be honest with you. So they have some flexibility. Flexibility is how you get better bids, so it leaves a little bit of an unknown. We will communicate with the public about the closure. It will be a full closure during the project. So, and essentially the new bridge will go right back where the old bridge is. Be a change in alignment and try to improve the hydraulics through there. It's a needed project. It's a good start towards trying to button up Highway 99 over the next 5, 6, 7 years for things that need to be done. So anyway, I just want to mention that. A lot of people are aware of this. This has been in the newspaper a bunch, and that's great. That's what we want, because obviously when you go close a major paved road like that, you want people to kind of know it's coming. We will do some reach out to local businesses and stuff well before the closure. so that they can plan ahead and stuff like that. So,
Well, I like the idea that your goal is to have it done before, the season, so they can haul their grain in.
and I should mention that, one of the things we really targeted, we are gonna impact traffic, no matter how you look at it, there's just no way around that. So starting no earlier than early November, it allows hopefully a majority of the agricultural season, especially crops went in general, a normal time frame this year. So hopefully most of the farmers up in the bottoms have a chance, if they do in fact truck this direction, to come this way, before the closure. It won't catch everybody, you never do. And then, so if it does close in November, the work will string into sometime, I would guess, into May at the absolute earliest. I can't see anything opening before that. Again, if they start in November, it's possible, just depending on weather, it could string out into June or August. If somebody can predict the forecast and the weather and all that, that'd be helpful. And the river levels has a major impact on this site. So there's a lot of factors here. It's taken a long time to get this project to this point. So it's just nice to see it. And we'll deal with the construction side as we go.
So, well, this bridge is built, will those loggers be able to take their 120,000-pound trucks across it?
That's up to us. I mean, would the bridge handle it? The answer to that would be yes. It would obviously be a situation to look at as if that gets brought up. So, but bridges are built with a lot of redundancy, and the newer bridges can't handle the heavier loads. So this bridge would be able to handle that if it needed to. It would be an isolated situation. You certainly wouldn't want two of them out there at the same time. There'd be speed restrictions, and you wouldn't want other traffic. There's all sorts of stuff there when you get to that kind of weight. So, but yeah, it should be a good bridge for a long, long time.
So you recommend this?
Absolutely, recommend approval, and so we've talked about this before. We'll figure out all the stuff as we get going for payments and everything. We're gonna manage this project in-house like we would any other project as far as inspection and everything else. So other than the headache of the closure, really, I don't think you'll see a whole lot of difference as far as any other construction project we do.
I move to approve the Iowa Bridge and Culvert, to do the Highway 99 bridge, the T29, L78, 7329, in the amount of $2,395,000, $936.85.
I'll second that.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
And I'll just say thanks. There's been a lot of work in our office. Our consultant, of course, which got paid, but they put a lot of effort into this, and actually the board and everything else. So it's just between the environmental side of things and everything else, and we'll still work with the landowner. There's still a couple right-of-way things to button up, talking to both of them. So it's good to get to this point.
It is good to get this point.
Waterworks still has to relocate or to update their water line. That's still, they have it under contract, but of course the river's gotta get down and stay down if you want to do that work. So,
Oh, really? That's something you just, say river, go down?
Typically.
no, if that was the case, it'd be done by now. But, you know, the river's been down more this year already, I think, than the last year and a half. I mean, we've been under 14 for a while. Hopefully we can get down to what people would call normal summer river level and let things happen the way they're supposed to. Construction wise, I think everybody'd be pleased about that.
That's not the same as it used to be, is it? Didn't the bottom of the river come up a couple foot and a half?
Oh, I think it changes every single time there's a big rain event. And it's not the same if you talk to the locals. I mean, well, just Sheriff Johnson from Riversville all his life, so there's no question it's changed.
Krista should be an expert.
Chris Krista is an expert.
I live in Smith, don't I?
Whatever's changed dramatically.
Won't be long, you won't need a wind dam, will you? Won't be long, you won't need the wind dam. It'll be full.
We're at 15 feet, you know, why are we at 15 feet right now? I don't get it.
Getting all these books.
Oh, that's a,
Must be Jim's fault. He keeps proving this stuff.
these are just certificates of liability. Insurance.
At least I can hear it,
I knew that wasn't Bob's hearing.
Okay,
right?
thank you, Brian. I enjoyed voting on that. Discuss opening courthouse. Last week, we mentioned we might want to look toward opening the courthouse the 8th of June, and the county attorney had mentioned that they're going to have a bunch of work piling up until they get the courts open. But there's some work they can do if we open up the courthouse. And once the state, well, the Supreme Court actually makes those rules for the courthouse so that they can start. They said some counties can start earlier if the county can meet the Supreme Court's approved guidelines, which conveniently don't exist. We were hoping they would come into existence last week, and they didn't. And Lisa just mentioned that she was hoping that they would be coming into existence this week, and maybe they will. So, but I would like to see us open it the 8th, not only so that we help Lisa out so they can start getting some stuff done for the work that's going to be piled up. I think it would give us a head start so that when we do get the those requirements from the Supreme Court, we're that much closer. So maybe we could get some of this started instead of waiting until the middle of September for jury trials or whatever. But anyway, at least
NISAC had sent out recommendations.
Anyway, and I spoke to Krista about it last week, and originally we thought we were going to open the courthouse yesterday because that was the day that they were going to start non-jury legal proceedings. And then they decided not to do that, and we'd come up with a plan there where we were going to have one entrance, the handicapped entrance there in the basement. We were going to screen people as they come in. Krista was going to try to come up with somebody there to use an infrared thermometer to take their temperature and ask them I think there's 3 questions. And then Rodney's, like I mentioned earlier, I see he's got chairs spread out, and there's going to be some signage for social distancing. You've got some dividers up. Oh, I see them in the treasurer's office, to between desks and at the counters where the public will be. I don't know. And when I spoke to Krista, we discussed if we wanted to screen them, when we talked about it before. I don't know that we want to do it permanent, but it might not hurt to start out and do that the first week so we see what we have. You know, are a lot of people coming in with fevers? Is it an issue? Is it not an issue? That might be a requirement for the courts. I don't know, but what do you guys think? Should we, when we do open it, should we keep it at one entrance? Because when we discussed it last week, we talked about coming in the basement, then they could leave by the other opening, or the other doors, you know, the front door or something like that, as long as they didn't let somebody in.
How are you going to control that?
Well,
Yeah,
we were going to do that with the courts, because we would have a security officer usually walks the witnesses out and so we won't have that. So maybe they would need to go out that entrance. If you're gonna have more people, do you wanna just, I don't know, what do we want, how do we wanna do this?
Well, I think you should only have one entrance, but the handicap, the front would be easier to maintain. But it depends on how many handicapped people you have, you know, that's going in that door. So, do you run them all in the same door? What's your thinking on it? Rodney? You're the one
Right
that's,
now, a lot of people are used to coming to that handicap door with the drop boxes, people that's been doing business there. If you're gonna check people, obviously, you're gonna need one point of entry, so
Yep.
it's almost gonna have to be there in case you do have somebody handicapped, otherwise you're not gonna know you have anybody down there if you're at the front door, so. Maybe courthouse security, maybe they have some people that can kinda hang loose. They're usually there on first floor a lot of times, maybe kind of keep track of that front door. And maybe when they come in, make sure and tell them, when they leave, not to let anybody else, through that door, maybe that's something they can do to kind of help alleviate that too. I don't know there's no really good answer for it, I don't think. I think we just need to, we're gonna open it up and try it and kind of work the bugs out from there.
I know part of the problem with the court is you're wondering who's coming in and out, and that, wouldn't be, would any signage that says, these doors, maybe even put it from, these doors are for exit only, do not enter. And I didn't just fall off the bean truck. I don't know as well as the sheriff does, but I realize there's a number of people out there that pay little attention to signs or rules. But
yeah, we're trying to put up some extra signage. The guys, as you can see in here, got all the chairs. We did that in the courtrooms too. So we got everything separated in the hallways and the courtrooms. So we still got some more signage to put up, but we can add some more signage as well.
and you can exit without, you can't get in from the outside unless somebody holds it from the inside. So with and if there's no court proceedings, that
My opinion is that we've talked sort of like courthouse security for a long time. So if, and we've talked about using one in and out, and here's a time to try it. And I say we have good reason to do it, and we do it.
I like Bob's comment. That's exactly where I was headed. I think this is a great, and like Rodney said, folks are used to coming to that South Egg entrance. Let's do it. And I think that's the way to go.
If you have a large group of people, like a jury or something that's coming out of the courthouse, the security can go down and let them out, all in a big herd. But boy, I think that this is the right opportunity to find out. And if we have to put a door, a metal detector or whatever for courthouse security from days coming, there's the spot.
I agree. Certainly can monitor everybody in that way, and cameras and stuff.
We can always change it.
speak up. Can't hear you.
Well, I'm sorry. I think it's a good plan. I think we'd use that south exit entrance.
well, I'm less enamored with the idea of having a permanent one entrance and a metal detector.
Yeah.
But right now we're concerned about the public health issue, and we can get a look if I think we open it with one entrance because we do want to screen people coming in.
If you look at the people that got shot over the weekend in different little towns,
Yeah.
it's pretty strange.
Well, that sort of thing's going to happen periodically.
Well,
I don't think
it's
that's
happened more periodically
that's
than it used to.
that's
I'm conservative too, Tom, but
that's
facts are facts.
well, I'm not off. This is a public building.
I agree.
This is a
We're
public
not
building,
stopping them.
and
We are restricting.
but I would like to see if we're going to start it to have the one entrance there. I guess the one thing I would wonder is if we're going to have the one entrance, do we leave those front doors so somebody could exit by them with the with the one problem is if somebody came in those doors or was exiting the doors and let somebody else in. Did somebody say something?
No, I was just piping in. I think for fire code purposes, you have to have the front doors able to exit.
Okay, thank you.
Similar to the back door to the alley.
Excuse me?
Similar to the back door to the alley, except obviously there's an alarm on that, but you have to be able to exit out of the front doors.
Okay, thank you. And I should have known that and didn't even think of it. Thank you, Lisa.
I don't have really have a problem with folks exiting that way, and Ronnie put, exit only on the front, and then on both sides of the door, and it would take obviously some getting used to that, but, we could post security there, make sure, and then eventually will be somebody that slips in, there's no doubt about it, but, at this point, I think them exiting that way would be fine. And then scanning them in or watching them come in, if necessary, but we have a little bit of control that way, and if it doesn't work, we can close that down.
Well, and I think when we talked about it in the court system, I think some of the individuals that would be in a courtroom that would be leaving would be people you would be concerned about who they might be interested in having in, and they would typically be escorted out. Witness or somebody would typically be escorted out by a security officer, and I don't think that's the concern here. Is the one thing I have some of those procedures they talk about is they like to have 2-lane traffic in the aisles in the corridor. I'm not sure that that's, you know what I mean, you're going east and west or north and south on the east side, or you're going east on the south side and west on the north side, or with the arrows, is that
I'll need to see that diagram.
yeah is how realistic is that here?
I don't know.
I'm not trying to put because I thought about that when I read that, and I thought, how's that going to work? And that's
All we can do is put up the signage, and people are just gonna have,
social distance.
Yeah, they know everywhere they go, they just need to try and social
Yeah.
distance, so we've done the best we can with taking out like a bunch of chairs, people have the idea, they can only sit so far apart, so, we can only do so much, people are gonna have to do their part and stay social distance, so that's about all we can do.
We and Krista's got a sign, we would put up downstairs at the entrance, and she's got somebody, and when Mary Ann Brown was here, Chief Judge Mary Ann Brown was here, she mentioned that the Supreme Court's not exactly sure that they can require people to wear masks in the courthouse. So, but we would have masks available. And this sign, it says the CDC recommends wearing masks. We ask that you wear a face mask while in the courthouse. And I asked Judge Brown, and she thought that was okay if you just ask somebody, and if they say no, they say no. But if you ask them, and then we would have face masks. I think Krista already got 400 of them. And so if somebody, said, yeah, I'd wear a mask, or you could give them a mask, we would probably need a trash can or something at the exit, whatever, so that they could, if they wanted to, throw those someplace rather than leaving them on the floor or the steps. I'll leave that to you, to maybe one at each exit. But anyway, it's the screening questions are: do you have a cough, shortness of breath, chills, fever, headache, muscle pain, new loss, taste or smell, repeated shaking with chills, sore throat that are not normal for you, and then have you been tested for COVID-19? Have you had contact with a person who has been diagnosed with COVID-19 or travel internationally? Anyway, and they'd stop there, and the screener would take their temperature and go through those questions with them. And if they had a temperature answered yes to too many questions, asked them to go home and self-isolate, or to call their doctor, I assume is what the recommendation would be.
We would tell them that give them the recommendations as well as ask them to reschedule their appointment if possible.
Either you guys have a problem with
No,
that sign?
No,
I've seen it, yeah.
Okay, okay,
I've been asked all those questions.
Yeah.
that's good.
Well, then is our protocol gonna be coming in the one door and then exiting out this door?
Well, I think we probably have to get wherever they want. If they wanna go out here, they can. If they wanna go deck down, and obviously people with, the handicapped people are gonna have to exit down there. And I know the, elevators, cause, we probably can't get socially distanced. You probably can't get two people in that elevator, can you? From corner to,
One on each side.
Well-
You have to be,
yeah, you would have to, you know, so,
standing on each side is right at 6 foot.
And they have promised not to sneeze, right?
is
Hold your breath as you go.
is maybe some sort of signage that said, please use the stairs unless,
Just put a one-person limit on the elevator.
one person limit on the elevator. That's a better idea.
Yeah.
That's a better idea. That way, rather than wait, they would,
Either use
Still
the
working
stairs
on
or
that
the
side.
way.
yeah.
Rodney, is
Put a
there,
marker on the doors.
Rodney, I see, when I came down here this morning, a gentleman walked up to the front door and then he turned around and he walked back. Is there a way we can put like a sign down there at the bottom so they don't have to walk up the stairs and then look, and so they know that this is exit only?
We can, right now, we took everything outside.
Well, I can, yeah, okay.
Moved everything inside, but
Yeah.
yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
We will have something outside there.
So they won't have to walk up the steps.
Yeah.
Set all these chairs across the steps.
Yeah,
So yeah, we can put some signage down
Well,
there.
we get new
normally
chairs.
do- We have a sign there for the handicap entrance, point
Yeah.
that way for the drop box.
Yeah.
Right now, we have those removed, but yeah, we can have some signage down there.
Okay, I guess what I'm hearing is we're pretty much where we were.
Yep.
That Krista will provide somebody down there with an, infrared thermometer, and, we'll have some signage up. And I think, did you get that signage from the, courts, Terry?
Yeah.
Or okay, okay.
Yeah, I got a few of them up.
Okay, and so we've got time, we can get that up, and so we will just have one entrance to the courthouse, and, we'll try this for a week and see how it goes, see where it works well, or if it needs to be tweaked a little bit. And I don't know, depending on how long you're gonna need to check people's temperatures, obviously sometime or another, whether it's sooner or later, that won't be necessary. God, I hope it isn't necessary.
Yeah.
Well, I would say no longer than a week that we would check temps, but I mean, we could even just do it a few days and see if we're
What?
finding people that are staying. Obviously, the goal isn't people stay home when
Yeah.
they're sick, and we just wanna make sure that, that people are adhering to that. I mean,
Well-
we're here for a couple of days and there's no fevers, then we're gonna assume that people are.
You can, but I don't know, I think I'd just go ahead and do it for a week, you get,
Okay.
and, we've got a handle on better little data to use.
Do you want us to track, I know when people go into the hospital, they ask their names and then track their temperatures. Do you want us to track names and temperatures, or do you want us just to track
Me speaking, I would just assume you take it and you said, I'm sorry, sir, I'm sorry, ma'am, you need to, self-isolate and contact your doctor, whatever I don't think we wanna ask everybody's name coming into the courthouse, that seems a little intrusive.
A lot of the places you go to, they ask you your name and what business are you,
Yeah.
especially out the SEC.
They let you in and out of the Capitol building without your name.
But
They just-
we're a public building, we're the public owns it, and they employ us, and, I'm not comfortable asking their name before you let them in.
Gentlemen?
Ask for citizens.
Janelle?
Yes, if I may I ask a question? Is it safe to assume that maybe appointments are preferred? I mean, here in the treasurer's office, we're not set up 6 foot apart with our stations, so I can foresee that maybe we're going to need to let customers come in and maybe do every other station to meet those social distancing guidelines. And then, how many do we want them lined out down the hallway? Who's going to monitor that? How are we going to control how many are coming in, I guess is my question.
I'm gonna assume like when you go to a grocery store, and I haven't watched, you've got a little circle or a little line every 6 foot, maybe, please maintain social distancing, and there's always somebody that goes over there.
Goes in the hallway, and then, I mean, if they're in the hallway, it's, when you're talking 6 foot, you talk 6 foot all the way around, it gets difficult once you get into that hallway, so, but I've seen them lined up, clear out, standing out in the hallway waiting to get in the treasurer's office, so.
Yeah, so have I.
I understand what she's saying, I don't know how we get around it other than, like I say, just tell people to self-distance, the best they can. We'll put up as much signage as we can and try and mark some of that out, but.
Janelle, have people overall been fairly happy with paying their taxes or doing that, online or over the phone?
Yeah, for the most part, everybody's been, fairly decent about it. But I know that, title transfers is one thing that there's no one or two same title transfers. Every situation's different. And most of those are going to want to come in. And I understand that. That's why I was just considering maybe appointments might be a way to go for those type of things. But
I don't disagree. I'll tell you, why don't we? Because we're going to see if something works or not. Let's try this, and then if it doesn't work for you and we need to change that, then we will.
I agree.
Until then, they can line up and wait.
okay.
People aren't gonna go by the signs a lot anytime you got, like yesterday, my wife gave me a little grocery list. I went in the grocery store with my mask on. They've got arrows to tell what aisle to go up and down. And there was more people going against the arrows than there was with them.
Well, are we walking the wrong way?
I know a lot of people, even when you're standing in line at the grocery store, if people are standing too close, I've seen some that turn around and say, would you please back away?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, and they've got them things there where to stand too, so.
So a lot of people inform that person that feels like their space is being invaded.
Yeah.
And there's I'm sure there's a certain percentage of people that are more comfortable doing some of that business online if they can, like the title transfers. They just feel a little safer, and that will adhere to those regulations. And quite honestly, some of them will enforce them.
And even in the treasurer's office, if people physically want to go up there, maybe we can provide a small drop box. Even though we've got the one out there, maybe we can put a small drop box in the treasurer's office for those that.
Well, instead of having them go through the whole process, I think we just leave, the drop box outside is permanent, so, if they wanna just come down, drop it in a drop box outside, that's great, and we'll leave that one in the handicap entrance. If they feel more comfortable bringing in, drop it off there. We'll just leave those 2 drop boxes there, and they can still do their business that way if they want. That way they know they dropped it off here. Otherwise, they would have to go through the process of getting checked and then going upstairs. And if they're there, they might as well go ahead and go through the line. So.
And I think a lot of people, if they realize that we do have drop boxes now, they're content with.
Yeah.
Oh, now I don't have to go all the way in to drop it off,
It's been a pretty good deal. There's a lot of people using them.
And the treasurer gets a lot of business out of those drop boxes.
Janelle, I know you're still there. She's hiding.
I'm here, Tom. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear anything that Terry was saying, but I can hear you just fine, Tom.
We're going to throw you to the wolves. So, anyway, so we're gonna try it without appointments, but keeping in mind that this is a fluid deal, so, anything you see that you think will be an improvement, mention it to Rodney or a board member or something like that, and we will, if it's something that needs to be discussed at the next meeting, we will do that. Some of those things, little changes, I suspect can probably be made on the fly, to say this works better or that works better if we do this. But
Sure.
we're gonna have to start somewhere, so, but I appreciate your concerns.
And Janelle, we will continue to keep both drop boxes.
Okay.
Could you hear Terry?
I could hear it this time, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll try to keep my mouth shut so you can hear. Thanks. Okay, so I think we have a plan. We will start next Monday morning. You'll have somebody there with the thermometer, and Rodney will have those signs put up, and we'll see how it goes.
So we'll put exit only signs on the front doors.
Yeah, I would put exit only signs there to so people that would coming up to the door, if it's open, you can tell them 10 times it's just that entrance that opened. But if they don't see a sign, they'll be down there.
Face mask. Everybody, you're supposed to wear a face mask. Is there a standard on them? If you just go get them like I used to do in the hog house, I'd buy a box of 50, didn't cost hardly anything, and it took out the dirt.
Yeah, face masks are meant to prevent the spread. It's not the person that you come in contact, it's not protecting you, but it's protecting the person you come in contact with because it is respiratory, so it's to prevent the droplets. There is a standard on the CDC website and also on the Iowa Department of Public Health website for making only face masks, but otherwise any of those surgical procedure masks, those are all okay. If this was, at one time it was N95 masks, and those are the 95% particulate masks, and those are still used if they're doing any kind of aerolized procedures.
What's aerolized?
Would be like suctioning, so something that's going to cause anything to be airborne, so
Okay.
you're going to cause those droplets to become aerolized. But that's only in healthcare settings, so pretty well any of those masks would meet that. And again, for the homemade ones, there's some specifics out there. And a lot of people are just using bandanas. It's just really covering to prevent any droplets.
And we don't think we could, well, you can't require that, but we're asking people, and then we'll have the mask for them.
Yeah, Carol has got masks. And by the time you get them across their ears, the strap broke off. They're just really junk.
A lot of places are selling masks now, and places like Walgreens have masks that you can buy the surgical masks, and they're not at a reasonable price either. I've purchased some of those just for at home,
Yeah.
and those seem to be really good. A lot of the places are just stocking on the shelves.
Mrs. Brokers made mention of the fact that they pull my ears out at a 90-degree angle to my head. She's afraid I'll be caught in a gust of wind.
If the wind comes from the backside.
You wouldn't want to be permanently disfigured.
Yeah.
I was in the store and the only mask I had was one of those things you pull over your face and didn't have the top on it, but just couldn't breathe. Couldn't breathe. They don't do much good when they're down here, do they?
No, not at all. The procedure masks are nice though. That's what we purchased for the courthouse, and those are nice.
Yeah.
They're the blue ones, and then they have just the loop around.
I was asked a question. This guy had on one of those paper masks. So, it's blue on one side and white on the other. He said somebody had told him that you're supposed to wear I'm sure I'm wrong, the blue side out if you're sick and you're afraid you're going to spread germs, and the other side in, and then that side in if you're healthy and you don't want to. Does it matter which side goes out? I've never heard that.
I've never heard that. I guess I need to do some looking into that, but I've never heard that.
this-
The biggest thing is make sure you always wear it the same way, because
Yeah.
if you have
Yeah.
come in contact with something on the outside, you don't wanna touch that and then touch your face, because that
Okay.
would be an issue.
This wouldn't have been a medical professional asking me, so where he would have heard that, I don't know.
Hey, Tom, I have a question. So if the courthouse is opening, or would places like public health, I mean, would all the county places be opening then?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
What do you guys say?
Oh, I'd say so, yeah. Yes.
Even Brian's road graders should be safe now.
Well, that's, and I think, do you, screen people, does they come into public health? Okay. And I, quite honestly, I don't think it's that much of a problem at the other buildings. They don't get that much walk-in traffic. But if, somebody wanted to, somebody from their office, like, it apparently isn't a deal to, operate that thermometer. We could come up with thermometers for them if they wanted them, but,
What I understand, Carter's pretty good at doing that, running that thermometer.
We have,
That's
we
what-
received quite a few from the Strategic National Stockpile too, so those infrared thermometers, so we have quite a few. We kind of anticipated when the courthouse was opening that public health would, so what we're going to do is, put a system, our waiting room's not that large, so we're only gonna have them enter one at a time and take a number, maybe a telephone number, and have them wait in the car for like immunization clinics, because that's probably our biggest walk-in time, so if we work that out, then we don't have a lot of people in our waiting room.
and you might want to order some more face masks if we've got people coming in and out here. Just thought they aren't that expensive, and make sure we had some.
I filled out that survey the other day.
Did you?
And so we'll see what ISAC or whoever it is sends us.
Should all the department heads have a thermometer? Then if they have an employee that doesn't look good to them, they give them a once over?
I had purchased a few of them, but I was kind of leery whether they were good enough or not. But as say, Brian has checked them out and it works properly. So he was our test model and he knows how to operate them, so.
He's an engineer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put that degree to some use.
And I think Gina had contacted all the departments to see if they needed thermometers, but we do still have some of those. So if any departments need any more of the infrared thermometers that we receive from the state.
I don't think we have one, so I suppose we should have one to say we have one.
Okay. Any comments or questions on?
No.
So do we want to do a formal motion for opening it back up, or we just want to say that we plan on opening
we-
it back up?
We can.
I say we just let the chair decree an opening,
Yeah.
and that way they blame him for everything.
There you go. There you go. There you
Call
go.
it a soft opening.
I second that, Bob.
I'll give you Mrs. Broker's phone number. She can give you some pointers.
That's good. I wish I'd have thought of that one.
That's what you get when you marry a teacher. Anyway,
No, mine didn't have anything to do with teaching.
okay, so Monday the 8th, we will be opening the courthouse under those rules or restrictions, circumstances, procedures. We have personnel action for local health. Excuse me. We have a resignation. Ari Kramer, secretary, a resignation.
Move to approve.
Second?
Terry?
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. We have minutes for the regular meeting of May 26th, 2020.
Move to approve?
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Any other business?
I have none.
I have none.
I have something I would like to say just so it's clear. I know I can't speak for the board, but I know there's some concern. There's about some of the events that are happening across the country, and some concerns that we might be having an event locally. And I guess we all shared the feeling of helpless rage as we watched that heartbreaking video from Minneapolis. That was as unpleasant in 8 minutes as I spent for a while. And we all respect and support the exercise of our constitutionally protected rights to freedom of speech, to peaceably assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. But rioting, burning, looting, or destroying our neighborhoods is not acceptable on any level. It adds no dignity to the legacy of George Floyd. It provides no comfort to his family, and it negates the sincere efforts of Mr. Floyd's actual mourners to exercise their constitutional rights. The individuals engaged in such behavior are nothing more than common criminals, criminals that are hiding behind and endangering the peaceful majority. And I would just like the law enforcement and the people of Des Moines County those are my thoughts anyway.
I totally agree, because our Constitution gives them the right to protest. And supposed to have judgment too.
I agree, and 100% with what you just read. You know, the Minneapolis had everybody behind them, the people, and they went and ruined it. They turned it into something that it should not be.
That's right.
I mean, there was some of the police officers on the force that's coming out against what happened, said it should have never happened, and they had the whole United States with them, and they blew it.
Yeah, they blew it. They blew it.
Well,
I agree.
they did blew it, a handful of those people.
Yeah, a handful of
those people that decided to go out. There's a heartbreaking video out there of this woman that lives there, and that was where she shopped, and it was gone. They burned it down, and she needed a bus, and of course the buses weren't running. She said,
I've got a lot of friends around this area, different ethnics, and not one of my friends would even do anything like this.
Yeah.
No, I would.
It is not a representation of the public.
No, I would hope I don't have any friends that would do anything like that. But
I thought one of the worst things I saw, well, no, the worst thing I saw was that guy laying down there with his head choked. But when you see the police cars, one right after another, leaving their building, I assume because they were told to stand down and they couldn't protect it. I think that is utterly ridiculous.
that's anyway. So I certainly, and I think the board calls for cool heads this evening. I support those people's right and desire to go out and bring attention to something that they think's wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
The young lady that organized this, I've known her since she was real young, and she's not violent at all, and she will make it a peaceful protest.
That's good.
I remember being in the National Guard when we came home from summer camp and we carried our weapons instead of loading them in a different truck because we were going through Detroit. The scary situation, that was about the time Kent State had happened. And you've got to think, when it's bad enough that they send out the military with weapons and they get in that marching position, it's time to leave. Not stand there and shout and holler like you're having fun. When the bullets start flying, somebody's going to get hurt.
Well, they shot 4 people in Davenport.
Oh, they shot
over
4
the weekend.
State,
they killed 2 people when they ambushed a policeman. And, that's,
It's sad.
yeah, that's for any good that comes out of something like that, that just eliminates any good that comes out of something like that, because that's the, so anyway, Sheriff, you guys your people be careful tonight. I'm sure you'll do a fine job, and, I hope all goes well.
Thank you, so do we. Was in contact with the sheriff up in Muscatine County this morning. We heard a lot of rumors about stuff going on up there, and nothing happened last night. It was quiet. They had a small demonstration that dissolved pretty quick. Of course, Sunday night was terrible up in the Quad Cities. They had quite a deal up there. I think this is going to be a peaceful thing today, and of course, we hear rumors of other than that, but we'll deal with what comes to us. We have extra manpower available, and so it's an important day for an election, and we have to make sure that goes well. So we'll keep an eye on things, and hopefully things will go okay. So all we can hope for.
Thank you.
What the papers say, 63 people killed in Chicago over the weekend.
I don't know.
Innocent, most of them, I think. Bad deal.
Future agenda items.
I have none.
I have none other than next week we'll, sort of rehash, or, learn what rehash over and sort of do like a military does, lessons learned, what we think's working and how we could maybe tweak it. Or committee reports.
I have none.
There was a CIT crisis intervention training that's given to law enforcement and first responders, and at a CIT meeting, and we had a discussion of the tragedy in West Burlington when that troubled individual was involved in a standoff with law enforcement and ended up perishing in a fire he set himself. And we had a discussion of the possibility of how to improve the response next time in a similar situation. So it was interesting. That's all I have.
Did you come up with any suggestions? And where, like Mike and his boys, or?
Well, they had it just worked here. Crisis intervention works. They're going to have mobile crisis teams that they're working on now to create. They've got them in part of the region. Is if a law enforcement officer goes to a scene, he's been called and there's somebody there was in some sort of a mental health crisis, he can call a mobile crisis team. The individual or a relative could call a mobile crisis team, or and they send them out. And sometimes it's a couple of mental health providers. Sometimes it's a law enforcement officer and a mental health provider to take care of that situation. So and that's what it was just helping law enforcement work closer with the mental health, and both of them understand what the other guy sees. So it was I think it was a constructive discussion.
Good, that's good. I know in DCAT, they work with the youth and people and organizations that work with them, and they're working hard at the little guys, trying to get them educated, fed, hopefully get them guided in the right direction while they're young.
Yeah.
But that's mental health's a tough deal.
Public input. If anybody from the public would like to address the board, we will give you 2 minutes to contact us, and you may email the Board of Supervisors at board@dmcounty.com. That's BOARD@dmcounty.com, or call 319-753-8203 extension 4. That's 319-753-8203 extension 4. We'll wait 2 minutes to give anybody that wants to contact us a chance, and if nobody contacts us, we will assume there is no public comment.
I have a comment online here, a question regarding the courthouse opening. Laura Cochran asked, will meetings continue to be held online?
I think.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I think we got the the courthouse open. I think that, the press ought to be able to come up, and she is the press.
I think so too. What
Yeah.
does this work pretty well? You know, even if we've got people in here to be,
I'll have to situate a little better, I think.
or is this just something maybe we should put on YouTube? You'd mentioned that at one time that you kind of, and just like we have videos now, I've started out as an audio, but now the videos are on the website. If you want to see, and just record them.
Right now, they're streamed live, and that recording is on YouTube after the meeting's over. If you'd like to do it differently and just take the recording and then upload the recording later, I can do that as well. I mean, I can do it just about any way you guys want to do it. So.
You can do it just a live stream and not worry about the call in and that.
Yeah.
Maybe if
The public would still be able to come in.
because the public would be able to come in.
Yeah.
So you just be live streaming it and recording it that way, because I think a lot of counties do that, don't they?
They do.
They
the
just
live streams.
record them and.
Well, they do it both ways actually, but yeah. They can, some do straight live streaming, others record it and then upload it.
You know, that's.
You- Well, that's by the time you bring in a couple reporters, that's
But if we just do the live stream, they would still be able to hear what's going on.
I'd say my biggest struggle in terms of live stream is those that are back here picking up audio wise. I might have to do something else or add an additional microphone or back here or something, because when I rewatch the videos after the fact, it picks up the majority of the time, but a lot of times we got people that are quieter that it cuts in and out, or those that sit in the back. It doesn't really catch what they're saying, so.
Yeah.
I know somebody disagree with you on her being quiet.
He's not allowed to come to the meetings.
why don't we do the same thing as we're doing now next week? Only the reporters can come in. So if a reporter comes in and wants to listen, it'd be easier for them to listen.
I think
And-
I think it's very important the reporters come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after that, then you can sort of have an idea. You know, maybe we could just have the video, and there wouldn't be any call in or something like that. What you might have to do, and you can just give us a couple options next week. Would that work?
That'll be fine. Do
Okay.
you want me to move to somewhere else in the room so they can sit here like they typically do?
Well, we could move them. We could move that table out, and you could be over there. That's 6 foot away.
We'll put Terry back here
I'll
again.
move back and Colin can move over here.
And yeah, if you want to do that wherever, you know, they could sit over there. You could sit over there because we've got that table.
Okay.
The only thing is we don't have, do we have access for you to hook up to the internet over here?
I can set something up.
Well,
I mean,
And if you need to, the reporters can sit at that table. They can just slide it out so that you didn't have to move.
okay. That works.
Is that answer their?
I believe so.
Okay. And that was Leah.
No,
Lori Cochran.
Lori.
Oh, Lori. Okay.
I make a
Oh.
motion we close.
Okay. We haven't had any other emails or.
No.
Okay. Okay. With an I, we're adjourned.
Hi,
We're adjourned. Thank you.
well, Brian's still here.